Okay, welcome back to my channel. I've been talking about the heart chakra for the past few days, and the last video I was speaking about trauma, and this brought me to want to do a video about the root chakra. And my channel is focused on spiritual awakening, Kundalini, the chakras, like how we go through an awakening journey, what that looks like, the pitfalls, what exercises will support, and so forth. And so I think it's important to remember also, if you don't know this already, that we go through awakenings again and again. We go through layers and layers of awakenings. It's not just like one Kundalini awakening and now we're awake and now everything's honky-dory. And no, like we have layers. We're like an onion. So it takes some time and doing. And, sometimes some of the things we have to go through in order to clear out and initiate through a specific center. And in the last videos, I talked about the heart chakra initiating through heartbreak, but that's just really one part of it. So I wanted to go back to the root chakra because the most closed or tamasic state of the root is living in a constant state of fear. And generally that's because of some kind of terrorizing experience. So remember, from a yogic perspective, we cycle karmically, lifetime to lifetime, and we're working out our karmas as we go. And this can take, a lot of lifetimes to get through these layers. I also talked about in, I think, the second heart video that a tamasic state doesn't have to mean negative or fear. It can just mean inertia or darkness, like in the womb. So, but if we are experiencing a very closed heart and there is trauma there, then we're not just dealing with a closed heart chakra, we're likely dealing with all the chakras shut down, because those are what allow life to come in, us to experience more openness to life. But if we've had an experience that terrorizes us, we close down, protecting us. That's what the amygdala would do. An animalistic brain is going to close us down to protect this very survival of this human vessel. The chakras are meant to help us evolve into a spiritual human, a divine human, an evolved human that has more of divine consciousness in it. But the stages of that journey begin, or at its base level, or most tamasic or uninvolved or darkest state, is closed. And that can just be also related to a flower that's closed, that's in a tamasic state. It's inertia, it's not moving, it's still receiving nutrients from the soil, preparing for itself to open. So again, not necessarily bad or negative to be in a closed state, it's just the karma or the cycling, the cause and effect that brings us from one stage to another. And if we notice the signs of an initiation happening, or the chance or the opportunity arising, sometimes in a relationship or in the root chakra's case, which is very tied to our survival instincts, money, safety, security, basic needs. If that issue is coming up again somewhere, that's an initiatory process. So where heartbreak in the heart is an initiation, having a financial or security situation come up into our face is an opportunity to initiate as well. So that might mean losing everything. That might mean having to move. That might mean losing your job. That might mean a bankruptcy. That might also mean a terrorizing, traumatic situation. If you have enough consciousness where you can witness it, it becomes an initiatory passage. So if you are very close to tamasic root chakra, the world is a dangerous place. You're fearful, you're terrorized, and that's where you live. Okay. If you are in a tamasic rajasic, and again, I'm referring into the Practical Yoga Psychology by Dr. Rishi Vivekananda. He's one of the main authors from the Mungir Bihar Yoga Bharati Yoga University, where I attended Yoga University. So if you were interested in studying more about that, it's a great book, but I'm just referring because he talks about each chakra from its closed to its most evolved version. And just like we did in the heart chakra series, it goes from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic, and then there's a blending in between. It doesn't just get to the next one, it kind of fades in, fades out of one. So if you have a tamasic rajasic, so you have a little bit of rajasic element, a little bit of that element of change in the tamasic root, this can be anxiety disorders. This can be like phobias and things where you perceive a lot of troubles and a lot of worries. You're kind of like you're seeking relief. You're not avoiding like fully in tamasic. You might be going to a psychotherapist or a psychologist to help you get out of it, but your main tendency around your security stuff is like anxiety. And again, this can come from a traumatic situation. Like I've met people who had a traumatic birthing experience and are still in an anxious place from that. So this is wanting to do some root chakra work. And root chakra work can be as simple as Mula Bandha locks. Okay, and if you don't know much about that, I do have video on that. And if it's not on my channel, ask me about it. Some of that stuff is in some of my courses. Okay, and then we go rajasic tamasic. So first is tamasic rajasic, and then rajasic tamasic. So there's more rajasic influence in this level. There's more of a drive to overcome a problem, but the tamasic element is still going to be largely negative. So there could be some dishonesty to get what you want. Accumulating money seems to be like an avoidance tactic in this root rather than really facing the issue and working on it. Again, like I said, with the heart stuff, with doing emotion code or body code or yoga nidra or mindscaping or things that help unload the subconscious and release some of those tendencies, or even yogic practices, again, that help clear out the chakras, clear out these perceptions. Looking for opportunities to make more money and, acquire things rather than like looking to where you trust the universe and working through the process that way. That's going to keep you in that tamasic rajasic or rajasic tamasic. Okay, so the next phase then is rajasic. So remember, rajasic foods, rajasic situations are change. They're more stimulating. They're looking for transformation, right? Straight up, I'll just say this reads, rajasic Muladhara people take care of their security in a direct manner. Their actions are more balanced. They gain, but not necessarily hoard money. They perceive the world as an opportunity. Their emotions about security are more neutral. Things are going okay, but it's more just about acquiring, not from a fearful place, but just sort of like you're trying to get your basic needs taken care of. And that's like the main thing. You don't necessarily neglect people in your life at this phase, but you are kind of more just focused on that. You will take care of your family, but there's not like a higher vision, let's say. Securing the species is also. So there's a large number of people living from a rajasic Muladhara. That's pretty normal. I will say that we are in an evolution of the human species. The Kundalini is rising in everyone, and the Muladhara is the first to really move. So that's why we're seeing some money and security stuff in the collective starting to get shaky, because the next phase we're trying to move to is the rajasic sattvic Muladhara. And we start to get the bigger picture. Even the pandemic did that. Like, what? There's something bigger than we were thinking. We start to realize generosity is a really great way to get security, because we see what goes out comes back. in this phase, you will kind of, it's more like, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing. So there is still a little bit of that. There's still security from possessions, conditional generosity, you know, like, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Agreements, contentment can be here, as long as the money stuff's going okay. So in this state, you're still kind of feeling like the earth way is the way. Whereas when we move to sattvic rajasic, now generosity is more like the nature. Okay, you really start to feel that generosity in gratitude is the abundance frequency. In this state, in this level of root chakra, you realize that your possessions are not your security. So maybe someone's gone through loss of things, and to get to this place, that's part of the initiation sometimes. Like I said, a loss of security, a loss of a job, a loss of money, that can push one into a sattvic rajasic, because now you have to really rely more on the universe. So wealth is not having a lot, but being content with what we have is a saying that's associated with this state of the root chakra. So people might still gain things, but they're also using to do good, like they're getting money to do good in the world. Their behavior in this state is to accumulate, but also for the benefit of others. So this, as we see, sattva is in this stage, so that's beautiful. And then when we get to a sattvic root, there is like a gut feeling of what's needed to be done. The body knows that you're still vulnerable, but you also like know that you are supplied for automatically. Like if something's taken away, you're kind of looking for where it's going to come in, and you just have more trust. These kind of people usually have experienced divine grace in these situations. So they already know that when something is lost, then it is taken care of. This is where coincidences and synchronicities, and someone asked me to do a whole video about synchronicity, and I'm just going to touch on it in this one, and I will do that still. But this is where we start to trust the synchronicities when we're in a sattvic Mulandar, because we've had divine grace, we've had things come in and like just take care of us when we need it. And that is where the universe starts to show, hey, you know, like this is a real thing. Love exists, and your life force is becoming aware of it tangibly in the root. Now remember, Mulandar, the root chakra, is an earth element, so it's the most tangible and physical. If we were looking at the tarot, it would be the pentacles that are associated with the root. Real security is the universe taking care of us, and divine grace. And the person in a sattvic Mulandar knows that and lives from that place. And finally, the enlightened Mulandar, which is where everyone is striving to get to if you're aware of your awakening journey, is the experience of unity of all things, absolute security, the oneness that everything is right and everything is going as it should be, without a doubt. That is the root, being in an enlightened state, and that's a beautiful feeling. And of course, as you go through the journey, you might fluctuate between these stages depending on what issue you're working through, or if something in another center has security needs around it. And we're going to get into the Swadhisthana, the sexual center, very soon. But if you have any questions about this center, let me know. But yeah, I did want to tie the heart and the root together, where trauma is definitely closing out the root. And so if we want to have an open heart and we want to move through the heartbreak initiations, then we do need to heal in the root, and we need to understand that we're a holistic human, a whole human, and we're not just working on only one place, that we're interconnected. So I'll say more about that later. Thank you for joining me. That's all I'm going to say in this video, to try to keep it as short as possible, but I'll talk to you again soon, and namaste.